Hello, Molly here on the Say It Skillfully podcast with leaders, entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, and professionals like you who open up about defining moments, what's been hard, and what they've learned on finding their true north and succeeding on their terms. You all know that I am obsessed about tennis, playing, watching, talking, all of it. And the sport has absolutely helped me be a better me. And I love how tennis combines body, brain, mind, the physical athleticism, the tennis IQ, and the mental game that can be oh so annoying to professionals and amateurs alike. So I am over the moon that my guest today is the leading international expert on the mental game and keys to fearless performance, and the founder of Fearless Tennis and a world-class coach who's also excelled on the court. He helps players of all ages, from rising juniors to seasoned adults, trust their game under pressure. And for the fun part is he keeps competing himself, racking up wins as an adult amateur, reaching world number one in his age group by practicing exactly what he preaches. So I'm overjoyed to welcome bestselling author and the founder and principal of Mental Edge Sports, Jeff Greenwald. Jeff, welcome to Say It Skillfully.
To be with you, Molly. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, so you are my idol. So the fact that you had a chance to do tennis professionally, but then have immersed yourself in it and are unpacking the most tough part, at least for many people like me, is just getting out over our own selves. So I have lots of questions to ask about really the work that you do, but most of all, I want people to get a chance to get to know you and who you are and how you got to be doing what you're doing. So I just love you to share your journey.
Well, thanks again for having me. It has been quite a journey, and I know it is for everybody who tries to, particularly like tennis, but do anything that is challenging and trying to play our best under pressure. People are watching, and so what my story is really. I at 12 said I wanted to be a professional tennis player, and 3 weeks later, I found myself on an airplane going down to the Nick Bollettieri Tennis Academy in Florida, which is now the IMG Academy. And I lived 2 years of my life in the prison, in the tennis prison. Maybe you would have enjoyed a tennis prison where you're locked away and all you have to do or get to do is hit yellow tennis balls all day long. But um, that's what I did, and it was great for my game. And you know, players often talk about trying to practice, making it feel like competition, like a tournament. We had that. If you lost, you'd be pushed down a court. If you won, you'd move up. And so we had that built in, that pressure to to play well, to win. Scoreboard, clipboard was there all the time. So in any case, I lived there, and I went on to play college at UC Santa Barbara, played number one there in my senior year, and went on to play the Pro Tour for a few years, and got world rankings in singles and doubles, but never made it really, and held myself back. I was a hothead. I got frustrated. I was emotional. Um, in fact, I was kicked out temporarily from the Florida Tennis Association. I was getting so upset in a match uh, that the ref, and I talk about this in my book, the ref just said, "You're done." And I'm like, "What do you mean I'm done? You're finished me, well, and, like, you're out." And not only that, you can't play tournaments anymore. So anyway, with the help of Erin Krickstein's sister, Kathy Krickstein at the Academy, she helped me write a letter, and I was allowed back in to play. But it was the first time a boundary had been set for me. Um, it's funny. Tracy Austin's brother, John Austin, who became a friend, but he coached me for a while, as did Tim Gullickson, the late Tim Gullickson. But John, when I became a sports psychologist years later and wrote my book, he just you of all people, because I got so upset, and he had a hard time reining me in, uh, and but as I feel like it's you have to sort of be on that side of things and know what it's like to be frustrated and emotional and wanting to win, and then it doesn't happen, and we don't learn how, or we didn't then really learn how to rein in these emotions. So that was a learning experience. And in any case, I continued on, and my story goes on into Germany. I played there, and finally realized I wanted to go into the field of sports psychology, and I went back and learned about mind, body, and all these things to apply to myself. And that's when I started having more and more success. But there was a lot of constant inner challenges of really, finding perspective under pressure, finding the, you know, resiliency, the tenacity to keep going when you're not playing well, when you feel like your game is off and you're not going to win, and you're feeling nervous. And there's so many things, as you said, you play this game and love it, and it's challenging, right? So that's kind of my sort of in a, a short story, how I got to where I am now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so let me just ask back as a kid because you seem, and I've known you for not very long, you just seem very calm, cool, collected. Actually, not someone who would be rattled. So to hear that you were sort of like a bit of hothead and got kicked out, how was that? Because that's like that inner wrestling, like Jeff on Jeff. How did you kind of rein yourself in?
Oh, as I say, incremental becomes exponential, right? But you know, I think that I did a ton of reflection, and I still do. Um, and I also want to say that I think we all have, of course, different parts and sides, and that sort of thing. And so we see one another in various settings, right? Including right now. But I'll tell you a funny story about that in a bit. But um, I would just say that I did a lot of reflecting on what mattered to me, what I felt when I was losing, what I could do differently. I hated the idea when I went to play when I would compete and I wasn't doing what I thought I could do. When I wasn't doing, you have expectations. I had more expectations around playing well and performing a certain way. Not, winning and losing. I didn't know. I always wanted to win, of course, and losing was like somebody's stabbing you in the back at the time. I think. Um, but reflecting on what is happening and what you can do differently, and trying to do new things, experimenting with them, and some things work and some things don't. I think the thing that really got me was feeling like I didn't have control over something that I felt like I should have control over. And I use that word should in this case in a way that I think so okay. I talk about not having the shoulds about who you should beat and all that, but I did, you have these expectations about how you can perform. And when we're not doing that, it's incredibly frustrating. So I'd say that I have about 25 journals from age 16 to now 58. I have probably, I would say that 8 books worth of writing about life and tennis, people, self, um, and just very aware that what we're doing, while that you want to win and this really matters, and it's going to pass, right? So there was at around 30 years old, I had a realization that it's weird. It coincided with Superman, Christopher Reeves. I mean, Superman falling off the horse, right? And getting
Really injured,
he was
paralyzed.
injured and paralyzed. Superman was paralyzed. I don't know. It just at the time studying and going reflecting and returning to the game essentially. I just the fragility of our lives, and to try to make the most of it and to be grateful even when you're having a bad day or a hard match, or that we're lucky we're lucky to be having a bad day. We're lucky to be missing our
Totally.
forehand, which is, I know that takes a ton of perspective. I had to learn it
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I would go ballistic if I missed a shot I felt I should make, right? I mean, it was like, what that's supposed to go in, but not always the case.
Jeff, how did your parents play into were they actively involved, not involved? And then I'm kind of curious, as your kid, you're like, I'm gonna be a tennis pro. Like you watch TV or how did you that just kind of dawned on you like that is who I'm gonna be?
It's a great question, because I was very athletic. I played baseball. I loved baseball. I played starting at, 6, 5, 6. I played little league all the way. And in fact, I played till 13 years old. I was pitching still. I'd go to a tournament and come back and be on the mound. And then I started throwing like almost over the backstop. I'm like, okay, I probably should make this choice pretty soon here. And I played a little bit of, PAL football in my town, Westport, Connecticut. I played football. I loved it. And, and went out baseball, football, and skied quite a lot. And then when I uh, played tennis, I think there was something about if I win, it's all me. If I lose, it's all me. I can deal with that. I'd prefer that than somebody striking out, 2 outs, and you're down by 1 run, and they strike out, or they can't make it to first base or something. I d- I wanted to kind of be in control of my destiny. So, and then I guess from my family, maybe the way my dad raised us, and he was an IBM exec and go get it. He was born in the Great Depression in '33, and I think times were tough, right, for him, and where food was even who his
Yeah.
brother not getting as much food as my dad, like they had to ration a little bit, right? He grew up with that, and so I think he instilled in us whatever you do, you go for it. You go all in. You go all in and you don't give up. You don't even when you win, even when you win, you gotta back it up too. So there's a tenacity there that sort of, and I'd say, that's a perfectionism that you gotta be mindful of. You have to be careful to not let that um overtake you.
Totally.
That was in the family. Whatever you do, you go. So when I was picked up at the tennis camp at Ron Holmberg Tennis Camp in 78 or something, I guess. I said, "I wanna be a pro tennis player," and he said, "Really?" And then we fed my mom a couple margaritas because she was like, "He's 12 years old. We can't let him go to Florida and live in a motel with 60 other kids. What? No." So my
No.
brother and my father strategically fed her some couple margaritas. By the 3rd margarita, I think, she's like, "Fine. Okay, fine." And I wanted it too, don't get me wrong, I wanted it,
Yeah.
and I was part of the thing. I was like, "Have
Yeah.
another, mom." But she wasn't a big drinker at all, by the way. She just it was funny. That's just kinda how it went, and maybe my brother secretly wanted to get rid of me because he was all for this plan, you know? So,
Okay, but so when you go there, this is a pretty I think it's a big deal to be that young and on your own. So and there's in those days not a lot of calling back home, blah blah blah. So just I mean, just share a little bit about because kids, I think you could say have a lot of shelter now, right? And so here you were like running around a different state completely on your
think of Lord of the Flies. I often talk about, the book, where you're just running around and, I mean, of course, we had guards, so it was really
yes,
s
yeah,
that being said, you are um, the army, or you're being controlled, and it's very structured. So we'd go to school from 8:30 to 12:30 every day, and then we would be bussed back to the academy. Nick would be there with his tinfoil, sunning himself. He needed to, you know, look good. Um, and we all wanted to get to Nick's court. He had the whole thing going. He said, "I am God." He actually said to us once, "I am God."
oh my
But
god,
anyway, the pressure to get to his court was real. But we then played tennis 1 to 4, 1 to 5 every day. Did conditioning, and we get shower and 2 hours of study hall and a little video game time, maybe an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and then we lights out at 10 o'clock. Um, it was I could call. I go to the payphone, and I think every couple weeks, probably once a week or every two couple weeks, I would call my folks, and they'd ask, "How's it going?" And I remember And this sort of brings in the competitiveness. And um, one of my roommates, I had three others in the motel. I was living in a motel, literally, right? The second year of the academy. And one of the boys said I looked more like a baseball player, which I didn't like that very much. But either way, my dad said, "So have you beaten that kid? Have you beaten him yet?" And I'm like, "No, not yet." He said, "Well, next time you take a set off him, I'll get you a new sweatsuit or something like that." And then I called him, I remember, and said, "I got him. I got the set and I got the sweatsuit when I went home for Christmas or something." Um, but so my dad certainly loved that I was pursuing something, and he wasn't a hard parent in that way. 'Cause I really loved it and tormented by it at the same time. It was. I mean, can you imagine the difference now with social media and all of that connection and exposure? And as you said, parents being so involved, incredibly, it's so different. And
Right.
and I would even go to tournaments alone at that time too. So yeah.
Yeah. So, did you, because it's really hard and you're really sore, and did you ever just want to quit? Like, I mean, I'm just curious to what extent you were like, it was a pride thing. I'm sticking with this. And, I'm just curious the whole decision to kind of move beyond it.
Yeah. And, it never crossed my mind as a junior, or in college. I had a slump in college junior year. I was not playing well at all. Um, I dropped from, like, I was playing 2 at the time, dropped to 4. Um, Played number 1 my final year, senior year, but I just went through a slump there, but still never, thought about quitting. The time that I really was contemplating that was I was about a year in on the tour, and I remember I was headed to Hawaii to go play another round of tournaments, and I didn't wanna go. I just, I just the thought of being, you know because the matches are great, but the waiting, you win, then you lose. You got a week to practice and go to the next place, and then you play, win, lose, whatever that is, and you're always pretty much losing at some point. And that over time, because I played juniors, I played college, and now I'm playing. I'm a year in on the pro tour, and it's just traveling all over. I woke up in a bed. I didn't know where I was at one time. I remember in Hawaii, actually, I woke up and it took me like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Like, I had no idea where I was. 'Cause I'd been to Australia and Spain and India and all over the place. I literally was like, where am I? And I'm 22 or 3 years old, 20, yeah, 2. And I couldn't remember, but anyway, so then I was thinking, "Oh my god, how much longer can I do this?"
So then the back to school, I'm curious, was that just you drove it, or did you kind of talk to mentors or whatever, your parents? Because, you've been able to take it and really parlay your experience into really serving the field, which is so amazing.
I think that the tennis playing, which did merge with the, uh, soul searching and all of that. I mean, I think my curiosity, um, continued to propel me forward. In my senior year, I was at St. Stephen's Academy in Florida. It was the better school of at the academy. But they had a prophecies, what kids would be saying or doing in 20 years from then, right? So 2004 or something. Um, and it said Jeff Greenwald will still be asking why. That was the prophecy, and that turns out to be that was dead on. Always super super curious. And my dad used to have to pull me back at the airports. I'd be, like, going up to the Hare Krishna people, and, like, they'd be, like, trying to recruit me into the Bibles. I'd go over, and I'd be talking to them and flowing around, "Jeff, get back here!" You know? So I was super curious, and so after the pro tour, I went to work at the ATP Tour in marketing. I was helping with sponsorships and TV, and so forth with the pro tour. And I did that for a couple of years in Ponte Vedra, Florida, and met some great people there I'm still friends with. But but that's when I had a thought about coaching and continuing to play. I still had a little bug, but mainly coaching. Maybe I could coach tennis. And I met this woman in Key West, Florida, and a German woman, and she said, and we had a relationship for about a year, and then she said, "There's a job opening up at this tennis club in Germany, in Hamburg, near Hamburg, Germany." And I was like, "Wow, that would be great. That would be learn the language, new culture." 25 years old, so I packed up, left the ATP tour, and moved to Germany, and got an apartment, and I played for the club and had a contract to coach good junior players at the club. I did that for 2 years. Learned fluent German. It was amazing. I would tell people I don't speak English, so I'd be giving lessons, and I'd say, "Don't." They try to speak English and practice English with me, so I'd say, "No, no, 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 no. Ich kann nicht sprechen." I can't speak English, right?
You're amazing.
English sprechen. So, um, anyway, but it was there that the seed was planted. I was coaching tennis, playing, and there was this match, one match in particular that, I think about how many matches, hundreds, thousand matches I played in my life to that point, right?
Exactly.
And there was a lot of people watching, a lefty server serving about 125 miles an hour. At the time, that's pretty fast, 125 or so. Um, and I just remember like getting rid of thoughts altogether, not thinking, and used to my mind going to the score, or other things. And I just dropped into my body. So like it just dropped in, and there were no thoughts. And I played amazing. I just remembered this one match, and I played amazing. I was able to replicate that. I was like, this is a different dimension. This feeling, this focus, this level of looseness hitting the ball, which people call the zone, right?
Hmm.
You stay in the zone, comes periodically if everything is aligned, perfect situation. Late at right, slept right, the opponent has the game and it's matched and you just play. But this was different. I recognized that I had control over what I thought and where my focus went and how loose I was. All of a sudden, I realized that I had a remote control essentially, which I talk about in the book. There was a whoa, like I can choose to put my focus on this or on that. I can choose to be loose and aggressive and step into the ball and finish the stroke, or back off. And I started to make those choices consciously. And then I thought, oh wow, like I need to go like learn about this stuff. And that's when I returned and came and went into psychology. But I thought first psychology was my idea. But then I thought sports psychology, that would be really cool to blend tennis and sports and into psychology. And that's when I came back and I got my degrees in 1997. And then I went down and worked with Jim Lair in Florida, and studied with him and played tennis with him every day and became friends with Jim, and a remarkable, amazing guy. We had so much fun laughing. I've never laughed so hard as I did with Jim. But um, so so anyway, that's kind of how that happened, that evolved, into, and then I built the Mental Edge and Fearless Tennis over the years, which also came out of curiosity and a desire to help people, athletes, players, learn earlier what I what took as the circuitous route, figure out what's possible.
So this is so great because I can just the thread line of the curiosity and just it all coming together. But at the running businesses, creating, I mean, that's another layer, and I'm just curious, what mentors did you have to help you? Because this is pretty pioneering. I know now it's, oh, everyone has a mental coach and everyone's doing all this sports psychology, but that was not necessarily as big of a thing when you started. So just talk about just like all of a sudden you're like a business person, right? You got to we're trying to earn money and create a ongoing enterprise.
Yeah, I've never been a business person really in that regard. Yeah, you have to learn that. But still comes hard to me. I just think more about how to improve things, how to iterate and make it better and more compelling and all of that. I love the content. I like to develop content and courses and all these things. But I think what initially was the really fun to play. So I would play in the opens in Northern California and then the nationals and so forth in my age group. But taking what the way I had approached tennis before, a little cautiously under pressure, um, upset when I wasn't playing the way I thought I could, and expectations and whether, ATP points on the line and all these things, but approaching tennis from this very transactional, conditional way to this new way where I was talking about gratitude, being grateful and how we're not here forever and being able to play tennis while realizing that what I was doing was, um, it was more about the experience and how I was doing it, how loose I was, how focused I was, how committed I was, and all this. That became more important to me, or certainly as important. I'd say more important than getting the W, the L. Don't get me wrong; I still
Yeah.
wanted to
Yeah. Of
win, but
course.
it really was just part of the equation. So
Mm,
going, what I'm trying to say is that it's always remained more around the passion and interest of the content and the how to help people impact them and how to help them get these lessons and apply them because you can read a book as and watch a YouTube and hear things, but
yeah.
there
So
you
yeah.
are, and what are you going to do now, right? And so I grew with it, but um, I think if people are getting value out of what you're teaching,
Yeah.
the business happens. It's sort of like
Yeah.
the winning happens if you focus on the right things, and I think that's been a big part of um, my my work and my business has been more and Fearless Tennis audio program first, then the best tennis of your life in '07, and now this new book and all the in between and the courses I have. So I think it's just been a process over time.
Yeah. I think it's so cool how you are like a living lab. Like you have these concepts, you've done some of the academics, but then you're able to put it into practice, but do like literally do it and iterate on that. And it's a very different feeling, right? When you're kind of embodying it and then your ability to convey to someone that is just a unique position. I mean, sometimes you can academically share something, but I think having done it yourself, and I have to say, the just being an adult at that really supreme level, I am really curious. When you go into matches, would you have a checklist or like what things do you do, or is it just so automatic now that you don't you're able to think about the process to get into your body to let go of thoughts? I mean, it sounds so easy, but being someone who wants to improve my tennis game, I'm really keen about this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate the question, and so the now I would say that going into matches now, I'm always setting two intentions, um, one or two, where it's like, and they're usually similar. To be loose, that's my baby. To be loose, and if you're loose, if you feel like you're elastic and hitting through the ball and finishing and not holding back, doing better than, probably 8 out of 10, I mean, people. This is the thing why the phone rings a lot is because we gravitate to playing safe. And the problem in tennis is it works sometimes, right? We play safe, we hold back, even if it's
Exactly.
true,
Exactly.
hold back, and then we get the points. Now we have to negotiate the terrace later, and it's like, should I go for it? Should I not? Just get it back, right? You know this. But so I'd say that I do visualize being loose. I visualize myself hitting the shots that I want to hit. Some of my favorite strengths, like forehand, how I want to, see myself in a position of where I'm dictating play. In some cases, picturing myself, if I'm having some doubt, picturing myself winning or getting the gold ball or whatever it is, that's occasionally I'll pull that out. I usually come back to mastery and like what I want to do now, which is to be loose and aggressive, for example. But um, I think early, at the beginning when you're learning this and trying to apply it, and you want to keep it simple, but you can have a few things and a little checklist, but not too many. People the tendency is to overthink everything, right? We overthink beforehand and technique and tactic and all these things. And I believe that first, put your oxygen mask on, help, create the better state, calm down, be focused, bring your focus in. And once you kind of get yourself managed like an instrument, tune your instrument, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you can um, work with tactic a little bit more. But I feel like playing on your terms means you get yourself in order, get better at that, and you practice that. Become aware. You have to first become aware of the thoughts that you're even having these thoughts. And
Oh,
it's okay to have negative thoughts. It's normal, as Novak says. It's normal to have negative thoughts. So it's accepting. A lot of it is acceptance too. You miss a shot, you have a negative thought. Okay. Like that's normal. That's human. What I did in the past was if I had a negative thought, I thought, oh no, that's bad. That means I'm going to probably lose. One match, I have to tell you, I was in the semifinals of La Jolla National 40 Hard Courts 2019. It was right before COVID. Yeah, I guess it was a year before COVID. I was playing Francisco Clavet. I think he got up to 17 in the world. He beat Leighton Hewitt. I think he beat Agassi once or twice, I believe. He beat like I think almost every player in the top 10. Francisco Clavet. So I'm playing him on the front court where I think I'd won 3 times on that court, the tournament. And I'm playing. This guy's got a bigger resume than me for sure. So you talk about doubt, self doubt, and I just wanted, it's the same. Yeah, and I went in and I was very nervous. Yes, even sports psychologists can get nervous, and and even then can kind of be choking a little bit for sure. I was definitely like I lost the first game at love. I'm down 2-0. I'm now down 2 love and 30 love. I haven't won a point yet. I haven't won a point yet. I look up, I have a thought I'm going to lose 6-0. I actually look at the scoreboard and because I could see it, I'm like, I could picture 6-0. And I'm like, and all and these folks are watching and they're seeing this guy who they come and watch. Admitted they come and they love to watch me play, and I fight to the end. I never give up, and I'm down. I'm like gonna get bageled here. But I pull a page out of my book, and I'm thinking, not literally, but like I say, I I say, I smile. Actually, I smiled at the thought. I smiled at it. Like, really? Wow. Like, that's a good one. I smiled at the thought, let the thought be there, let it pass, whatever, refocused. And I won the set 7-6. Yeah. I got him 7-6. I was exhausted after that set because he ran me like crazy, but I lost in 3 sets. But that was a moment, where you're feeling pressure, you've quote succeeded in at least in that tournament, and then we have these negative thoughts, these moments. And my thing is, what are you going to do with the moment? What are you going to do now? That's always, what do you now what? Okay, now what? Yeah,
you're my
sure
idol. I play
is
ball.
always there. So
That is That's amazing. Okay, we could go on forever. I would like, because you have this new book, and it's so awesome that you're helping young people and helping the parents who really want their young people to do well. So I'm just a little curious about some thoughts about the book and share, folks. I know it really, I read the reviews, I'm in the middle of it, but it can really help anybody. But I'm curious in your particular interest in kind of writing for the parents and the kids.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question on it, and it took about a year and a half to write, and I felt like after 27 years of working with that junior youth athletes and tennis players and coaches and parents, thousands of people now, uh, that I wanted to share ideas, strategies, tools, principles that are applicable, that are also in a format that is accessible, where they're short chapters, just like the best tenets of your life, which people really, I think, appreciated because it's in a it's written in a practical way, but I think there's a touch of inspiration and has a philosophical kind of bent because that's who I am. But so I took that concept that seemed to resonate, and really, really worked hard to make it relatable for kids, and first, so where they could read it and find themselves there. There you are, and the coach is yelling, you're on the basketball court, and he's gonna yank you out again, and you think, "What are people thinking right now? What are they gonna say if we win or lose, or I make another mistake?" That kind of thing. All these moments that we all feel, and kids feel really acutely because they're so vulnerable, and they don't have yet the experience to build on. They don't have the perspective yet. So they need some structure, and they need really, really practical, tried and true tools. So I felt like I just wanted to offer that to kids, to families. And then the parent section is to help parents understand their kids more, understand what they feel, what it's like in these moments when they say, I want to quit. They're so upset. They don't really mean they're gonna quit, but they're upset, or they can't eat because 'cause they're anxious and they're thinking about the coach, and it's all these things
Mm.
for parents to be able to, like, normalize it, empathize with it, and be calmer themselves too, to also have perspective, right? Because it's so easy, and I'm a parent of 2, and they played sports, all sports for years, and I had to talk about having to keep yourself in check and perspective. And um, you know, my daughter, for example, said when she was getting ready for a race on the weekend, and we're having dinner, and I said, "Well, we can't wait to just watch you run. So excited to watch you run." And she said, "I don't want you to come." and to my Yeah, to my wife at the time as well. And I don't want you guys to come. And what do you mean you don't want us to come? Like, we just want to watch. It's just fun, and well, it's my sport. It's my sport, not yours. And because she happened to be a perfectionist, and anyway, she didn't want us there,
Wow.
and I honored that. Some parents wouldn't necessarily say, we got to deal with it. And I get that, totally get that. There's no right or wrong. But my relationship with her, I wanted to honor that. And I said, it is your sport. And so I let her have the, but I understand. My point is, I understand the challenge for parents watching their children compete, and watching them have emotions and make mistakes they're not making in practice, and feeling nervous. What do you do with that? How can What does that car ride look like on the way home? How can you keep a relationship with your child and enjoy this crazy journey in sports, which are the probably the most precious memories we'll ever have too, and to not blow it because we're caught up in the short term win lose, what's the opponent's doing, and how do we keep up, and just to keep perspective. So I think the book covers the entire family, so I feel good about that.
That is awesome. How do your kids think about you in sports now? I mean, I know you're gonna play tennis with your son shortly. I'm curious, do they like, "Dad, don't give us all that stuff that you know," or do they soak it up?
I My son gave me that message loud and clear when he was about 8. I told him, I kind of went up to the net. I said, "Hey buddy, come on up," and showed him how to kind of hold the grip on the backhand. um and he drops the racket, and he says, "This isn't fun anymore." And he walked off the court. He literally, the kid is so, he's stubborn. He knows what he wants. He's, this is as what his grandma says, he's not a push button kid. Anyway, he just walked off the court, and I thought to myself, okay, you better be mindful of what you say, how you say it, how much you say it, and when you say it. And all of those aspects can make or break a relationship in the sports family.
That's amazing. Okay, we can go on and on. Why don't we bring it to a wrap? I know you're very reflective. I just have to say I'm in awe about authentically you through your whole journey, whether you're as the athlete or learning about it. It's really, I mean, it's big congratulations for that, Jeff, because most people, I don't think, get to that integration in the way you have. So I really appreciate all that you shared.
Not very much. Thank you, Molly. Thank
Okay, we're gonna do a wrap. So if you everything is how it is still, okay, so your life is still as it is, but if you had one do-over, Jeff, what would it be?
Do-over would be probably so Tim Gullickson, late Tim Gullickson, top 50 in the world. I maybe got to 30. He and his brother, of course, top in the world in doubles. An amazing coach, both of them, Tim and Tom. Great, great, great people, great coaches. And I had the good fortune of working with Tim right before he worked with Pete Sampras. So, and he's working with Aaron Crickstein. So he was working with some of the best. He was very complimentary in my game. I was playing the worst tennis of my life. Funny, my book's The Best Tennis of Your Life, but I was playing the worst tennis of my life. I go to him, and in a matter of 2-3 days, I was playing the best tennis of my life at the time. Beating players top 50 in the world in practice. Practice, mind you, but nevertheless.
But still.
Um, and he said to me, Jeff, he said, I think he said 6 months off. I don't think he said a full year, but take 6 months off. Let me train you. I think you could be top 100, top 200 in the world. And I was too impatient. I wanted to get back on the tour. And so, it's funny how life has it for you. I went to Austria to play, and I I went in the semifinals of a prize money tournament. I tore ligaments in my ankle, and I was out for 6 months. It's funny, tragic. It was a terrible, you know, grade 4, whatever,
Oh,
sprains, tore the ligaments. Um, and um, so I didn't come off the tour. And if I could go back, I would be patient, because incremental becomes exponential. And if I had taken that time and trained, who knows, right? But
yeah,
I think it would have made a big difference in my ultimate outcome as a younger player.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
got to translate it later in life and had some wonderful, wonderful tournaments and matches and all that. But anyway, that would be probably the thing. If I could tell my younger self at 23, 24,
God.
stay the course, work on your game, go toward mastery.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy. Amazing. Okay, you're still on your journey, I know, but to date, what would you say your proudest accomplishment is?
proudest, tough. I don't think it's happened yet, but it's in the works. I think something I think that will probably become my proudest, what I'm, working on, and it has to do with writing and a book. But,
Yeah.
um, the one I'd say that I just wrote would be it now, is the mental edge for young athletes. I am very proud of the best tennis. I am proud of my first book, and I'm surprised and grateful that people have found that so helpful to their games. And so I think the writing and people it resonating, and the way that you said it's impacted you, that to me is everything. And I will say, much supersedes becoming number one at anything. I think, Mats Wielander classically said, the moment he reached number one in the world at the time, 1989, he said, "I had more fun cutting the grass than playing tennis." So there is something about it's about the pursuit. That's where the dopamine is. That's the excitement. Arriving there is just another place. to set the next vision and go from there. And hopefully you can enjoy the journey. But yeah, I think so. Thank you for having me though on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, that's great. We have a few more things. Let's say nicknames that you can share. Any nicknames?
The nicknames
Yeah, for you.
for me. Um, the nickname would be Greeny. That would be
I was gonna guess.
you know,
I
when I
was
was
gonna guess that.
playing baseball or on my team and UCSB Greeny. Yeah, would absolutely be Greeny. Yeah.
Okay. Favorite food or cuisine?
Um, so I would say Indian is probably my favorite cuisine. Yes.
Nice. And having listened to yourself, and I thank you for being so generous, what is your top takeaway?
From today, my top takeaway, which I've increasingly realized, is the energy that we share with each other, the energy that we have, that we cultivate, and the energy you have from the time we started this interview today, this conversation. You are you're a seeker. You're in love with life and certainly tennis. But I appreciate your energy and how you've and how I've impacted you, and you've shared that with me. So I really appreciate that. I'm grateful for that. You know,
Yeah. Well, and back at you on that. And just lastly, what was it like for you, Jeff, to share your journey with us today?
it was I really enjoyed it. I feel like you, because of your energy, as I said, I think you were able to get in there a little bit in a different way, I have to say, than others have, and, I applaud you for that, and it was nice to be able to kinda give some more of the raw, journey, raw ingredients of this, circuitous and also enjoyable path that I was lucky to have chosen and, had the, I guess, courage or, to curiosity to follow it, and then be able to sit here and speak to you about it. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I applaud you and everything that you're doing and still doing. And I really appreciate you, Jeff, for how you are part of the solution. And I think you're helping people feel safe, feel seen, and feel heard, and really being their true and very best selves, because that's what I sense that you are doing. My friend, I'm cheering for your current new book, your future new book. If there's any tiny way that I can be helpful for you. Now, I want to make sure folks have is the website the best place to go? I mean, you can Google Jeff on Amazon and all and get the books, but is there a
Mental
particular
Edge,
site?
yeah, I guess the Mental Edge for sports.com would be good. And Amazon, if you type in Mental Edge for Young Athletes, Jeff Greenwald, then my book will come up. There's other Mental Edges there you'll see, but mine, if you type in my name, it would certainly come up. And and in leaving a review is always so appreciated because uh,
Yes.
Amazon really recognizes reviews, obviously. So that's always really wonderful. People do that. So
Yeah, and I'll be doing that because I very much appreciate how valuable that is. And you take good care. I will hope to check out if you're ever in North Carolina. Let me know, Jeff. But you really inspire, and I just want to thank you for joining us.
thank you, Molly. Thank you so much. Take good
You
care.
take good care. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Oh my gosh, she's so amazing. So, Jeff, you folks, is using his voice. He is helping elevate athletes to high performance and really achieve meaningful impact. I want to help you do the same. So, I'm going to ask you to check out Say It Skillfully. Our 101 program is out there to help you find and learn how and when best to use your voice. And have my own little best-selling book. So, I hope that is helpful for you. I do want to wrap with a final thought, and I love Jeff's quote: incremental becomes exponential. And that is a wrap, folks. I want to thank you for joining us. Please be part of the solution and kindly share this show. Amplify Jeff's voice. And know that I'm cheering for you to be who you are and say what needs to be said so that you and those around you have a shared reality, which is going to make life work so much better.
Say It Skillfully is finding your authentic voice and learning how and when best to use it with confidence, clarity, and impact. Most communication and personal development preach playing the game so you win. Say It Skillfully teaches you how to change the game so performance improves and everyone wins.